welcome to our special board meeting for November 17th. This meeting is being recorded and it's being broadcast on Facebook Live. The purpose of this meeting is to see that we're going to focus on the construction budget, which is a milestone that we've been looking forward to on our construction project. So very important decision, and I'm not going to steal Alan's thunder, but I, for one, am excited every time we take one step. So, let's think of it as yet another step. So I'm calling the meeting to order. Do we need to do a roll call, Sarah?
Yes.
Dennis, can you help me with that, please?
Yes. So let's see. Oh, and Laura came in. And let me see. That's it. Okay. So Bella Gorman, Ben Hamill, Don Capello, Jill Schaefer, Laura Burgess, Maura Webster, Nick Poirier, Raul Porras, Sheila Kelly, Salmini Sampath, and Zachary Prescott are present.
Thank you. And Bella, do we have any requests for public comment?
No, we don't.
No, okay.
Oh,
Is anybody on the call that would like to speak on public comment? Hearing none, we can move forward to our main topic today, which is the sign and cost estimates. So Ellie, I'll turn it over to you, unless it's Bob.
May I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Give us a little introduction. Hopefully you saw the email that I sent out yesterday. And so I'm gonna tweak the wording just a little bit of what Raul said when he opened us up, which was,
oh, you froze. Oh no.
Which was?
we're not really voting on
Sorry, Ellen.
construction budget.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Ellen.
is that any better? All right. Am I unfrozen now?
You're unfrozen now. Go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. So I was saying that I'm just going to tweak the language that Raul used a little bit in the beginning, because we're not really here tonight, as we had expected, to approve a whole budget for the building project. And the main reason for that really is that it's ever changing, and we have a first level estimate, but we are expecting another estimate in March, and we're expecting a number once we go to bid this summer, likely in August. And so originally, when we called this meeting, we thought, yes, that this was a time to look at the budget as a whole for the project, and then vote on that. So we met as a finance committee on Tuesday and discussed this about next steps and how we're going to move forward. There is a proposal coming forward tonight from the finance committee. But basically what this proposal says is that even though we know that the costs are continuing to rise, and although we have professional estimates right now, that we can't really predict what's going to happen this summer. Now, this is probably a little unusual due to the circumstances of the economy and inflation and all. But I think under these circumstances, it's wise to take this one step at a time, have a vote tonight, which really is giving us permission to use money that's really already been budgeted. So it's not the amount of money really that we're talking about. It's the commitment of the board to move the project forward to the next stage of drawings and development and design for the team, the construction team, and the architects to work on. And we will get another set of updated drawings and more detailed, accurate estimate in March. In March, we're going to bring that to you again and see if this still feels like the right way to go to continue to move it forward. And the team will continue to work. And in August, this will go out for public bid. Then we will get a number of pretty firm estimates, other than change orders, but pretty firm numbers. And then those are the numbers that we're going to end up voting on to move the whole project forward. So basically, we're voting on two things tonight. The first thing is, you saw the schematic drawings. They are basically what I've been showing you all along. It's just much more detailed that, if you're a professional, you know what all of those things mean. And if not, the rest of us just go, wow, that's really cool. So you're going to be taking a look at those pictures, those drawings, and you're going to vote on if you're happy with the way that the project looks. And then the second thing is you're going to say that you have confidence in where we are today, and we're going to move it forward at least until March, when we'll get another more detailed set of drawings, and we're going to get another more detailed estimate. That cost is going to be about $400,000. And the reason that that's important is because if we were to stop the project right now, because it's looking like it's going to be about $12.5 million, then we could stop. What we're saying is we'd like to go forward, get a better estimate, take a look at it again, and then hopefully vote to go forward to do further work until August. That would be an additional $500,000. So what we're saying here is that we want to continue to invest money in the project to hopefully get it to a place where it's going to be a feasible project for AMSA. Those two things, that's what we're voting on. Anyone? Any questions? Or Bob, do you want to jump in?
I'll be happy to jump in if there's no questions right off the bat. And I'll just, yeah, so Ellen, you took half of my presentation, so thank you. That's a good thing. So let me just sort of fill in some more details. So back in the summer, you all got together and you charged us with trying to design a building for $11 million, or trying to design a project for $11 million of construction cost. We, based on that guidance or that directive, we had what we had in front of us was conceptual estimates, which were nowhere near as detailed as what we have today, but a conceptual estimate on one of our schemes, which was like a 22,000 square foot classroom building. And that came in at around $600 a foot. So we took that, and and just frankly, that's how we got to designing the size of the building that we have now, which is about 17,000 feet, just so you understand sort of how we got to where we are. You know, $600 a foot times 17,000 plus about $500,000 for the loop road connector is around 11 million. So we felt that was the prudent direction to go. Right, now we have the drawings, we have detailed estimates. We got them from two sources, one from W.T. Rich, who is our construction manager, who we've hired to do pre-construction. And if all goes well, they would actually be charged with building it. And the cost estimator working for the architect, Fennessy Associates. They did their estimates, they got together, they compared notes, make sure that everything was accurate and they understood what they were basically doing with the architect and everything. We could not deliver a building for we could not deliver a project for 11 million, unfortunately. That project at that point came in at about 13.6 million. We got together and we do what we always do. This is completely normal. We call it value engineering. And we find a number of project scope items, which we do not believe are critical to the performance or the efficiency really of this building. So frankly, they're mostly aesthetic and things like that. And remove them from scope and have an estimated value for that. After that process, as Ellen had just previously mentioned, we're a tad under 12.5 million. $12,460,000 is our current estimate. And again, as Ellen was careful to point out, and it's an estimate. So, you know, that's where we are. It's 17,000 square foot building. It's 10 classrooms. You get parking where the future gym pad will go. The future gym pad is suitable for a gym in the future. We're going to connect the loop road, and we're doing some other site improvements to make sure that the bus pickup and drop off and everything works well. But that's about it. The classroom building, of course, has fully fit out science labs too, which adds a lot of cost. So yeah, that's where we are. We don't think we can get much further than the 12.46 million and still maintain and really give you a building you're going to want. frankly. It starts to really cut into the bone. I mean, we might be able to find a couple $100,000, but that's really going to be it. Ellen did talk to you about sort of the next steps. If you were to approve us moving forward, we would engage the architect to then do what we call design development drawings, significantly more detailed, more narrative on mechanical systems, et cetera. Get another 2 estimates, reconcile them, and come back to you in early March. And hopefully we are still at or around the number we're at today. Wouldn't it be wonderful if it was lower? But the idea is to continue to design and move forward without losing any ground. I do want to mention that this $12.46 million estimate has incorporated into it 2 contingencies to mention. We have other contingencies in our project budget, but actually 3. Number 1, it has what we call a design contingency of 10%. So that's like $1.2 million, which is basically just acknowledging we're early in the process. So we always, the estimators always carry a contingency. As we move further into the process, we'd look to bring that down. And of course, once we have a contract, it's not there at all. The other, another contingency or escalation we have really is for escalation. We're carrying a number of 4.5% for basically construction inflation from today to next summer. That is, anybody's guess is one. These days normally I wouldn't say anybody's guess. These days it's a little scary, but that's a pretty robust number. I will say that, if you look back 10 years ago, we would never carry quite that much. Having said that, it probably went up 15 to 20% in the last 18 months, but everybody figures it's going to moderate. So, but anyway, we're carrying something for escalation. And the last thing is also within that number is a 2% number for what we call CM contingency, and that will remain in the contract. But again, it's money to be spent once we get going on missed scope and things like that. So we're being fairly cautious, I think. Yeah, and then the second, let me just say that once we're done with the design development budget, we come back to the board. If you approve it to move forward, we then go into construction drawings, which are 100% detailed, and go out to bid. So the next time you'd hear from us, presumably for major approval, would be in August when we have the bids in and our contractor has presented to us and we've negotiated as best we can a guaranteed maximum price construction contract. So at that point, we just go into construction and try to keep the change orders down, but we would also have about $700,000 of contingency for those change orders. One more thing to mention, and then I'll pipe down, is on the financing side. We also, as you may or may not recall, we needed to update our appraisal. This is something we were going to have to do in any event because when we closed the loan last year, we didn't know how big the gym would be. We did a lot of things. So that we went ahead and got that done. We really just received that information 2 days ago. I'll get into the details of it. What it came up to was that with the bank only willing to have an exposure at 80% of value, and also taking into account the $2.4 million guarantee we currently have with Mass Development, right? With the reappraisal, we came up $1.1 million short. That will be solved by increasing the Mass Development guarantee. We've talked to the bank about this. We've talked to Mass Development about this. Mass Development said, not a problem. And so we would go ahead and increase that. It would add to your debt service about $5,000 a year. So that's our solution on that piece. And I think we can check the box on appraisal with, unfortunately, we do have to do that, but fortunately, that is very available to us at a low cost. And so I think that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Bob. One factor that I think is important as we talk about timing and decision points and whatnot. We have a very favorable lending situation, I guess. We got in at the right time of the interest rates, and we have a drawing period for the loan that we got when we purchased the buildings, and we can continue to draw on that. That's what we're talking about. Drawing period, correct me if I'm wrong, we have about 18 months left on that.
Yeah, we're actually going to have to draw it down by next September. That doesn't mean we have to spend it all by then, but you'll just draw it down and put it into a controlled account.
Right. But the reason I bring that up is that should we decide to delay the project because costs are too high for whatever other reason, then we wouldn't have to find new financing for the project, which means it would be whatever rate it is up whenever that happens. So knowing that the conditions right now are very favorable for what we have, that's one factor that affects, it kind of counts against delaying. But just want to make sure everybody remember that or was aware of that. So I do have one question, Bob, that maybe I should have asked this in finance, but when we talk about the timelines, March being the more detailed estimates, why is August the timing for the bids? Is there something that pushes us that far? Or?
It's really, Raul, a function of how long it takes the design team to put the drawings together. It's a long time. It always seems longer than it should be to me, but I've stopped fighting it about 7 years ago. And to their credit, because this is a public bid process, we really need a 100% buttoned up tight set of drawings. We don't sort of go in and work it out on the fly. So it's really as simple as that. And part of that process, by the way, I'd have to look at the calendar, but it's 6 to 8 weeks of that is the bidding process, the bidding timeline, and nailing down the contract.
All right. So August is the end of the bidding process.
That's correct. Yeah. When we say August, we come back to you and you say, here's the contract that's available to us. The end of the bidding process. Correct.
Understood. Okay. Any questions, anybody else? Nick, comments?
No, I mean, I'm in the finance meeting, so we've already discussed this. I mean, I guess just a couple things to keep in mind. One way I look at us managing this process, when Bob talks about value engineering, I look at it more like value managing, because as we're moving forward. So value engineering, at least to me, means the design documents are done, it goes out to bid, and all of a sudden we find out like, oh man, it's over budget. What we're doing as a group, as a team, is we're value managing this so that the costs aren't getting out of control before they're not manageable. So we're value managing something like this. So I think that that's important. The other thing too, again, Bob mentioned it, but we've got a 10% design contingency, a 4.5% inflation contingency, a 2% GMP contingency. So you've got 16.5% that's included in that 12.5. Not only that, but the estimates, when you do an estimate in a budget based on a set of plans that's somewhat incomplete, you typically err on the side of caution, and you end up usually inflating your number a little bit. So there should be some fluff in the estimates that they give anyway. So there should be some money in there. We've got 16.5% contingency already built into the number. And so again, where this is, I do this every single day. Back to Ellen's point, we've already got this all approved. So this isn't really anything that we don't know about. We went back and we asked the design team to design to $11 million. And honestly, I feel like they did that, because with the contingencies are about $1.5 million, $1.7 million. So when you back out those contingencies, we're right at $11 million. So I think it's important that everybody understands that the design team actually did exactly what we asked them to do. And so now, for me, it's really, we've asked them to do something and they did it. And we've got the money, or we're very close to having all the money to build what they've designed. So to me, we've set these milestones in place for, I guess, for risk. And so we're hitting the milestone. So for me, I think that it's just an easy vote to say, yes, we're going to continue, because again, we already knew that the cost was going to be what it is. The cost is already budgeted in there. So we asked our design team to hit a milestone, and I feel like they nailed it. And so now we are looking to vote to approve them to continue moving forward. That's not costing us any more money, to tighten up the documents and to get us another estimate later on with more detail that they start to hone in. And so we still have a couple more checkpoints before we have to really commit to actually building this. So to me, this, like I said, this is what I do every day. So to me, we're following the steps. Everybody's doing what they said they were going to do. So for me, it's an easy vote, yes, to keep it moving forward. So that's where I'm at.
I will just jump in one more time, and I agree with Nick. My concern, and why I kind of raised the flag earlier this week, is really not because I don't support the project, because as I said on Tuesday night, I've devoted 2 years of my life to this project and longer to the buildings for sure, and our situation. It's more around the fact that it's like everything else. I went and got gas tonight. It was almost $4 a gallon again, right? It was going down. It's like everything else that we're dealing with, is that the costs keep going up and up and up. And we just want to make sure that we have enough places where we're stopping and we're looking at it and we're making sure we're making the right decision for the school and not putting ourselves into a financial bind for the years ahead. It's too important. And we just honestly, we don't know where we're going to be next August. So I think it's really important that we're slow, we're mindful, we're careful, and we don't let the process run us, that we're actually running the process. As I've said all along, we have a great team of people. We really have. I know that it's been bumpy along the way. We are working in unprecedented times. We have a great group of people. I meet with them almost every week. Bob and I talk every week. Sandy and I meet and talk and Zoom. These are people who are really working hard on our behalf, and they can't control what we're facing right now. So that's why I kind of threw up the flag and said, well, we need to really sit down and talk about this. And we had a great conversation at finance. Some of you mentioned that you watched the video that Leanna sent out, and I would encourage you all, if you haven't seen that and you have more questions or concerns, that you watch that as well. So that's my last thoughts.
Any other comments, maybe Bella or Roger, from a finance perspective, or Leanna?
I support Nick, everything Nick has said. I think we really had like Ellen said, we had a great meeting, I think, in finance. I feel more comfortable with the numbers and our finances, and we're just moving forward to the next step. I think we have to keep moving forward. We've already invested some money, and I really think that, I know the times are tough, but at the same time, I think that we see people building and construction still goes on. It's like, I think we still need to move forward.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll just echo Roseanne. I had thought that the finance committee meeting was great. We had a very productive and detailed discussion. I think that we should move forward with this plan, and waiting, it will benefit our students and our staff in multiple ways, in safety and classrooms. And we have done the financial diagnosis to see that it currently fits within our budget and means.
And guys, one more comment I have is, keep in mind, we talk about these checkpoints, and so this is one of a couple more checkpoints with the numbers. And so really our final checkpoint will be when the construction documents are completely done. And when it goes out to bid, and when the bids come back, that's when we will know 100% what the cost is going to be. And if something crazy happens between now and then and the numbers come back and they're just out of our budget, keep in mind, we own all the construction documents. What we're looking to build is exactly what the school needs. And so if we needed to shelf the project for a couple of years until we got more money, we own those construction documents. And then later on, we just have to go through the process again, just to end up going back out to bid. So we are not, I don't want anyone to think that we're wasting money here. We're putting money into something that ideally we're going to do right now. And I think that's the goal of everybody. But again, keep in mind, once we know exactly to the penny what this cost is going to be, even at that point, we can say, you know what, it's too much. We got to shelf this. But now we have all the information we need, and then we can do any sort of fundraising or anything we want. But I'm confident that when it's all said and done, that we're going to be able to do it for the amount that we're budgeting for. So I just want everyone to keep in mind that we're not spending $1 million for nothing, that we are going to get something that we use at some point. And the idea is that we use it is immediately, so that we can get this new facility open and that we can continue moving forward like we want to.
And Nick, I think you just mentioned something that's important. The more detail we have and the more we can show the vision closer to reality, the better position we're at for fundraising and for getting the support that we need from the community for the capital campaign and for everything that we need for this. So that's another important factor to keep in mind. I don't know, for those of you that were or watched the kickoff that we did for the capital campaign, one of the things I said that we're making history. We're making history for AMSA because we're doing something that hasn't been done at AMSA before. We're raising money for a capital campaign. We're building a new building. We're doing things for the first time. There's also history in how we got to this point. And if there's one thing I can say with confidence, which I've heard it already tonight, is that we have the right team to make sure that we are taking the right risks and mitigating the risk the right way. I have seen spreadsheets and models that Leanna has put together that, as much as you can predict the future, you plug in numbers there and see, what if we have to buy a new bus next week, and what if we have to do other capital things, and that makes me feel comfortable. If there's one team that's going to make sure the school takes the risk in a measured way and it mitigates those risks, it's this team. And Leanna, ahead of that, your support has been tremendous, and the kinds of things you have put together with Facilities Task Force makes me feel comfortable that we can do this. So that's all I have to say about, we will make this work. So that's how I feel tonight. So hopefully, with everybody's support, we can continue to have this conversation. And again, taking step at a step is one of those ways of mitigating the risk, that we can make a decision again in March and then again in August. So I'll leave it at that. Any other comments or questions? Are we ready for a vote? Yes, I see a lot of hand nodding. So I want to be careful about the wording because I think I opened up a little broader than maybe the vote should be. I think we're just voting to continue to move forward. We don't need to approve any additional budget or whatnot, because what we're doing was already in the budget. So I guess the vote is just to continue to move forward with the detailed planning of the project. Is that the right wording, Nick?
I think that can be the right wording. What did I put in that email?
I should refer to that.
You might just want to say,
Design.
Based on the schematic design drawings delivered, because that's really what it is, do we move forward with what we've sketched up?
Yeah. Right. And what we've already approved, it's just, it's that next step. Are we voting to move forward to the next step from schematic to design to development?
I think it's the commitment, right? We're voting to say we're committed to the project, to move it forward. Like I said, probably not, a typical type thing, but I think under the circumstances, we want everyone to kind of go into the process with their eyes wide open to the situation that we're facing right now. The schematic drawings, the drawings, that's a different vote, and that is about those drawings specifically to approve the design
Oh, okay, okay.
as
I'm
it
sorry.
stands, right? So I separated it out.
Okay, sorry, Ellen.
So logistically, would it make sense to first approve the existing schematics as the first vote? And
Yes.
then a second vote to approve to go forward? Is the correct wording detailed design?
Design development, they call it.
Design to proceed forward to the design development phase.
Yes, yeah. In the email that I sent out, that the first vote was on the schematics, the designs, and the second is to move forward.
All right, so there are two votes then, not one.
So I'd like to propose make a motion for a first vote to approve the schematic design drawings as that were approved in finance.
I second that.
Yeah, motion.
Okay, so we have,
Wait a minute. May I
Roger
just say
moved.
that we did not approve the drawings in finance.
Okay.
Or
As I'll amend it to say the schematic design as submitted to the board.
yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Roger moved.
wait a minute, please, this is getting confusing.
Okay.
Schematic designs, okay, presented. Okay. Sorry.
All right.
And then, so it was Roger who made the motion?
I think I heard Nick second.
No, I think Ben did.
Yeah,
but-
it's Ben. Either one. Yeah, Ben Hamill. I guess. If you want to
Schematic
go down,
designs presented to the board. Okay. All right,
You got
you
the
ready
second?
for
Yep.
the vote?
Yes, if you help us with the
Right.
roll call, that'd be great.
Okay. Bella Gorman,
Yes.
Ben Hamill,
yes.
Don Capello,
Yes.
Laura Burgess, oh, that's
And
interesting.
she dropped, yeah.
Okay, she wasn't, I don't think she, okay.
She was
Mara
on earlier,
Webster,
yeah.
Mara Webster,
Yes.
Nick Poirier,
Yes.
Raul Porras,
Yes.
Sheila Kelly,
Yes.
Salmini Sampath,
Yes.
Zachary Prescott,
Yes.
Roger Jarrett.
Yes.
You forgot Jill Schaefer.
Jill, I thought I said her, okay, sorry. So the only person who's not here is Laura. Is that correct?
Did Jill vote?
Yes.
I'll say yes.
So the motion passes unanimously. Now the second vote, I'll make the motion, and hopefully you can tell me if it needs to be amended, is to move the building project forward to acquire the next level of design drawings and more detailed estimates to be due in March.
Second.
Would you please repeat that, Raul?
Yes, and I'll put it in the chat as well. To move the building
Okay.
project forward to acquire the next level of design drawings and more detailed estimates due in March.
All right, so Nick,
Nick seconded. I made the motion. Nick seconded.
Sarah, did you also see where Raul put the wording into the chat box for you?
no, and I will have to ask him to send that.
I will. I'll
That's all
put it
right,
in
I
an
have
email.
plenty of time to do that.
Yes, I put both in an email.
Thank you. All right. All right, so ready for the roll call?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Bella Gorman,
Yes.
Ben Hamill,
Yes.
Don Capello,
Yes.
Jill Schaefer,
Yes.
Mara Webster,
Yes.
Nick Poirier,
Yes.
Raul Porras,
Yes.
Roger Jarrett,
Yes.
Sheila Kelly,
Yes.
Salmini Sampath,
Yes.
and Zachary Prescott.
Yes.
Okay, so that's unanimous.
That's right. I feel like once again we need to congratulate the whole team for all the effort that has led to this time. We will continue to have milestones like this. Every time we have one of these milestones, we're one step closer to having the campus that AMSA deserves. So thanks everybody for your support. Thank everybody in the facilities task force and the capital campaign that's going to be supporting this, and everybody on this board that has been supportive of this project. Thank you. All right, that was the main purpose of this meeting today. I did add something on the agenda, but I promised to be quick on an update on the proposed new position for the current executive director once we hire the new executive director next year. And if you remember, I mentioned this in our last board meeting that we were going to bring this to governance to talk about the potential amendment of the bylaws to allow for 2 people to report to the board. We actually discussed this in governance and actually decided not to do that yet. And there's multiple reasons, but I'll try to summarize it. Is basically counsel that we received saying that usually when you have that kind of scenario, it presents a lot of problems unless we're very, very clear on where those different roles are to make sure there's no conflict between the new and the old ED and that. And the conclusion after that conversation, and partly because there's conversations we need to have with Ellen, because another option is to have a contract in the current structure that doesn't involve a change in the bylaws. So we decided for now not to make that amendment in governance, so there's no vote required for today. There are further conversations we're having, actually talking tomorrow to our lawyer on the options that we have on how we could structure that contract and that position. So stay tuned. If needed, this may come back in December, but for now, the direction is that we're not going to need to amend the bylaws, so we don't need to vote on that today. So that is the quick update. You know, whoever wasn't fine and governance has a little more detail on that discussion, but that's basically where we're at. Any questions about that? No? All right. With that, that's pretty much all we had on the agenda. So I don't think we got any action items on the meeting today. Our next board meeting will be December 1st. We'll be coming up pretty quickly after the holidays. Is there any action items that anybody thinks we need to add to that agenda, or any agenda items? I'm sure we'll talk about the strategic planning, which we have already started talking about how that was going to work. So, you know, if needed, we'll provide more detail on the December meeting. Excellent. Anything else anybody wants to add or ask? Or if not, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Moved by Ben,
Second.
second by Nick. Can we have a roll call, Sarah?
Bella Gorman,
Yes.
Ben Hamill,
Yes.
Don Capello,
Yes.
Jill Schaefer,
Yes.
Mara Webster,
Yes.
Nick Poirier,
Yes.
Raul Porras,
Yes.
Roger Jarrett,
Yes.
Sheila Kelly,
Yes.
Salmini Sampat,
Yes.
and Zachary Prescott.
Yes.
Everyone? Motion's passed.
Motion passes.